What is up, everybody? It's Detox here, and we are on episode 3 of the Aquariums update. I just got done doing some water changes, and I actually have some, well, good and bad news, I guess. We'll just start with this tank because there's nothing really updated. Still a glare though. I think if I actually come up here, it's better. Tiger Barb's doing great. They are actually going to be upgraded, because this is just a temporary tank, essentially. I mean, this is really for 7 Tiger Bars. It's probably okay, but it's probably bare minimum, I would say. But they're going to get upgraded to a 29 gallon, which the 29 will probably end up going here, and then the 20 will go up here. But they're going to get a little bit more space, and then probably what's going to go in here is some, I want to say, I'm leaning towards some cherry barbs, or I think that's what they're called, the red ones. So that's update on that one. But this has got a water change. I just did a test. I have been using easy strips, which a lot of people don't agree with, but I also have the liquid one too, so don't freak out. But I do use both. Of course, I test ammonia with that, because this one doesn't test ammonia, but what this does test is the hardness and the alkalinity and stuff like that. So that's always good to know. Which I actually haven't. I just got these. I haven't tested any of them until today. This tank is actually doing very, very well. Of course, there's no ammonia. There's no nitrites. Everything is very, very, actually I was really surprised, because I haven't been checking like I'm supposed to. Yeah, everything's good. And as you can see, well, that's not the right one. If you have used it before, you'll know that there's a little, just like the liquid one, so you can test kind of your where your levels are at. The only thing that was high on this tank that I had to tamper with was the nitrates were really high. That's just because everything's getting broken down. Essentially, what it was causing is a lot of algae growth and their diatoms, which probably, that's like the most annoying thing ever. But at least stuff's growing. That's a good thing. If stuff's growing, then at least I know I'm doing something right. But what I did is I've only been doing like 25% a week on this one, so I went ahead and did a 50. Hopefully that'll knock that down a little bit, and I'll probably do another 50 next week, depending on where the levels are. But what's the best way to outcompete algae? Well, plants. So I have a lot of live plants. I just picked this up. Well, I didn't pick it up, I got it delivered. Aquarium Co-op, which is Corey, he has a YouTube channel as well. But I'm gonna try this. I just got this. I've never tried it before, but supposedly it's supposed to make stuff grow. It's supposed to give all the plants what it needs. So I have enough nitrates in here for them, but what the problem is the algae is competing with it. So the plants are doing really well though, so I'm not super worried about it. Those are the Java ferns. As you can see, they're growing roots, doing their thing. So here's a little story on this. As you can see, there is a Amazon sword tucked away somehow on the piece of fake plants, and I've never even noticed it, and all of a sudden it's been sprouting. It's been growing like crazy. So I'm probably gonna let it grow a little bit longer in the water column, and then I'll probably plant it. But as you can see, all the Amazon swords back here are green as ever. This light is actually doing a pretty good job. I wouldn't say it's the best light out there by any means, but it does have 2 LEDs. The only thing it doesn't have is the red ones, which I want to say the only purpose that does is the plants see it better. So it does have blue, but I mean, it's doing, obviously for low light, it's doing great, because these are all low light plants. But I'm gonna try that fertilizer, see if I can't get those plants going a little bit more. Maybe cut out the algae from that plant. But that's pretty much it on that tank. We're gonna skip this tank. Frank's doing fine. I tested his water. It's perfectly fine. I mean, there's not a lot of fish in here. But yeah, the plants are doing well. As you can see, we're getting some sprouting up there. The Wisteria is growing roots down. Of course, the Amazon sword, this guy is so beefy that, you know, I don't think anything could hurt him, but he's planting really well. Some updates on this though is I think I am going to move this Anubias, and I'm probably going to move it into this tank and tie it to some of the wood. Maybe I'm thinking that'll help it a little bit, but we'll see, because it's just not doing what I want it to. It's staying alive, but actually I think there's actually a new little sprout coming up, but it's just not going crazy. So I'll probably try that, and I might tie, oh no, I'm probably gonna leave that Wisteria going because he likes sleeping in it. And then Eric's tank, the other betta, I know I call him by name, but I'm just so used to it. That's just what happens. But his Wisteria is doing great. The roots are really climbing down. They're starting to attach to the Malaysian driftwood. So I really think that's about to go nuts. And as you can see, there's just tons of roots going crazy up here. So that plant is doing just fine. The Java fern is doing fine. As you can see, it's growing miniature plants all over the place. And then the Amazon sword back here has pretty much killed off all its starting leaves, and is sprouting a whole new plant, which is just fine by me. It's pretty typical for a place like Petco, whose all their plants are not in the water, for the kind of the starting plant to kind of die off, just because it was not raised in water. So that's perfectly fine. That's about to be a beautiful little plant. And then of course there's a Java fern back there that's kind of just doing its thing. So not too many crazy plants, but we're gonna try easy green on all three of these tanks, and we're gonna see what happens. So onto this tank, let's see if we can't find anything. Ignore my Pikachu. This tank kind of went through an interesting little thing here. Now as you can see in the background, there's an unfinished background, so there is black a little bit back there. But you saw a dwarf gourami, and I don't know if I can find it. There is one neon tetra. I started with 5. That guy's really, he likes sitting in the bubbles. He usually gets camera shy, so we'll see. But he is a flame gourami or whatever. I don't know the scientific name, but you can see he's orange and blue. But the plants are doing well so far. I mean, they haven't been in here long enough to really tell, but a lot of these plants came from different tanks, so everything should go well. But there was 5 neon tetras. I told you, I thought it was neon tetra disease. One was getting really, they were getting really bloated and everything like that, and they were just dying day after day. I want to say it probably wasn't neon tetra disease. I want to say it's some kind of bacterial infection, just because this guy somehow made it. Like, I know there's a lot of things saying that there's a lot of bacterial infections that look like neon tetra disease, but most of the time it just ends up being false neon tetra disease. But anyway, so he survived, so we named him Warrior because he is the last little neon tetra to make it. He's actually doing very well, and as you can see up here, there's tons of bubbles, and you're asking why is there that many bubbles. Well, I did go ahead and dose both the fish, both the gourami and the tetra, with API General Cure and erythromycin, or however you say it. Ignore this little camera mistake here. Essentially, General Cure is going to take care of all your parasites for the most part, and erythromycin is going to pretty much treat any wounds on the outside, or funguses. So they are getting treated for 7 days, and they also got treated with, now I couldn't get a hold of what I wanted to, so we're trying out this external parasite treatment, which is essentially for like ick and stuff. I don't know, it had pretty decent reviews, but it was all I could get my hands on, so we're gonna try that out. But essentially I want IckX to treat along with those other two, but they're gonna be treated for 7 days before anything else gets added to this tank. But they're getting along just fine. As you can see, they swim around each other. Actually, they sleep with each other, which I thought was really funny. Granted, he's a lone neon, so he's kind of looking for some other friends. But essentially what I decided was I'm not going to get any more neons. I know it's sad because he's the last one, but what I am going to get some cardinals. So he should school with them and be just fine, and make friends. But we're not gonna get neons again. And I actually just went to Petland today to pick up some media bags just because I forgot them at Petco and I was already gone. But yeah, all their neons were gone. So, and I know no one bought those, all of them. I can guarantee they mostly all died. So I most likely probably am not going to be buying fish from there. Not saying that they don't take care of their fish, but I don't know. There was no neons left, and it just kind of freaks me out that they're not quarantining, or I don't know, just play it safe with that stuff. So I might buy fish from there later, but not in the near future, as all their neons are most likely dead or all sick and they got pulled. But I don't know, we'll see. Plus they're expensive. Actually, I mean, the neons were cheap, and I don't want to say that they were trying to get rid of them because they were sick. I'm hoping that's not the case, but they were on sale, so that kind of freaks me out a little bit. But we're gonna go ahead and get Cardinals. We'll just you know, nip it in the butt. But he's doing fine, so we'll let him live, I guess. And then, as you can see, I haven't had this up before, but we're having it up now because I learned my lesson. And this is a quarantine tank. It is just a 5-gallon Fluval Chi, or Fluval, oh crap, I can't remember what it is. Chi's a square one, I think. Whatever this one is, it's actually just an extra tank. It's what one of my bettas used to be in. And I thought, well, it's better than not having a quarantine tank at all. I thought about just buying a 10-gallon, but I need to put this tank to use, so this is where it's going to be used for. As you can see, there's a pipe down there, and the thermometer, the heater, and I ended up getting some media from this tank in here. You can't really see it, I'm not going to pull it up, but I replaced I took the carbon out. Don't worry, the medicine isn't going to get sucked dry. So it's just 2 media bags with Biomax, or whatever the heck that stuff is, and then a filter. And in here are 2 green emerald cories. Essentially there are going to be more, but that's all I could find today, which is crazy. They always have tons of these because they're not necessarily the most desirable compared to like a Julie. But yeah, so I have 2 so far. There is going to be more, but I'm not going to get more until I can get the rest of them, because I don't want to waste all my medicine on little amounts of fish, because that's kind of just a waste. But they are doing just fine. They'll be in here for 7 days. I know people say quarantine for longer, but with both medicines, well, actually all 3 medicines, I don't think I'm going to have a problem. If I do, well, I mean, I guess that's just the risk I'm going to take. But I definitely will check them before I put them in. But 7 days of Genocure and erythromycin, there should be no parasites left after those medicines are done doing what they're doing. So this guy is actually starting to get a little bit more comfortable, so I'm feeling pretty good about that. But yeah, I think that's it for the updates. The next update will probably be, unless something happens or I build something, releasing these guys into here, because they're going to be going into here with these guys. And I will be building just a 2x4 from here up to hang the lights from, so they're not just leaning on this. And then also I'm going to get some polycarbonate material, I think that's what it's called, the stuff that you put in like greenhouses, to make lids. These were temporary. I could get a hold of the wood at work, but this is obviously not good for water, so I'm gonna go get some new lids. And the reason this one's split is because I don't want them jumping into each other's tanks. That's more which could still actually happen. So I probably shouldn't actually. I'm glad I just noticed that. So we're actually going to do this. Flip it around. That way now they can't jump. I'm glad I noticed that. But I'm not really worried. If they jump out over here, they've been uncovered for like 4 days. So I know any fish can jump out at any time, but we're gonna hope and pray that they don't. But I think that's it for today, and be looking forward to more videos, and hopefully I have no more dead fish, because that wasn't fun. But that's it for today, so I will talk to you guys next episode. Peace.